Hey you guys, today is Friday, March 20th. This is day 5 of our learning from home. Today, with it being Fun Friday, I know we don't get to celebrate at school with some fun stuff. Normally we would do library, we would spend a long chunk of time reading, some long time on Prodigy. We do a little bit of read aloud, and then our afternoon would be Fun Friday instead of any writing. So my challenge for you today is to have a fun Friday from home. Both this week and next week, I just want you to find something fun to do with your families. Share with me what that is so I have some ideas for whenever we go back to school. But then the last Friday that we're out for this break, April 3rd, I have a Fun Friday planned for you and your families that I'll be delivering at some point that week. So you can do Fun Friday with your families on April 3rd with the supplies that I am going to deliver to your houses. So look forward to that. I need a few weeks to get everything planned. But for now, plan a Fun Friday. Do something fun with your families today and send me some pictures of what you decided to do. So kind of like sometimes in the classroom, I'll say, no sticky note today. You guys can just enjoy listening. I'm just going to have you enjoy listening today, so you won't have to do any comment below in the section. If you wanted to comment, go for it, but I won't have a question for you to answer to. My challenge for you with reading today is to build a fort. Yes, today was build a fort. So build a fort with a sibling, with a parent, with somebody that you live with, or completely on your own. And then cuddle up in that fort and have somebody you live with take a picture of you and try to send that to me. You can either email it to me or you can have your parent text it to me. I would love to see the cool reading forts that you come up with. So I'm going to do a short reading, but before I get into my reading, I want to remind you that today you'll have a video from New York City, New York. So I want you to watch that to learn a little bit more about the Northeast region. Make sure you're exploring the Northeast region states on National Geographic Kids. And then one other challenge I have for you is during this time there are a lot of people who are in need. My challenge this week was to find a way that I could help give back to people who needed it right now. That might be that some people need food. That might be that some people just need somebody to send them a card and cheer them up. I don't know what it is that people all need, but I am sure there are needs out there that you, as a kid, can help. I know that you're all gifted kids, you're talented, you're loving, and you're kind, and there are some cool ways right now that you could give back and help others. So one way that I did that yesterday was I found Hand to Hand, which is a program that sends some food with kids over the weekends, is collecting items, specifically items in Ziploc bags for snacks, breakfast, lunch, and dinners. So those meals can go home to kids on weekends when they need some food to have at home. So what I found was that you could buy a bunch of stuff for a decent price at like Costco or Meijer and bag up different bags. So Mrs. Davis and I went in on some snack bags and some breakfast bags. So this is an example of a snack bag that you can do. It has applesauce, Cheez-Its, on the back you can see there's a popcorn bag and a granola bag. So these are some snack bags. They just go in a quart-sized baggie. And then these are what the breakfast bags were supposed to have in them. There's different options of what you can put in breakfast bags, but we did oatmeal, applesauce, and also a granola bar. So for me, this was something that I could afford to do right now and some time I had to be able to stuff these. So I think I made 44 snack bags and 52 breakfasts. So they actually get delivered to a warehouse in Hudsonville. So I'm going to share the information for Hand to Hand in a link below on this video and then also on my slideshow for today. So if that's something that you and your family are interested in doing to help other people, it's pretty easy. It does cost some money, so it would have to be something you could afford. If you need to do something that's more free, maybe just sending cards to people, you could maybe even drop off cards to Hand to include in the bags for the kids, or you could send cards to a nursing home. Lots of ways, if you just get online and start Googling, lots of ways to help people right now during the coronavirus pandemic. So on to our reading. I'm going to read for a little bit today. It should be pretty quick. I'll try to cap off our video at about 10 minutes, and then you can get on to your Fun Friday with your families. So Yesterday, we were supposed to draw connections between the characters and ourselves. So I said that I thought I was most like Violet because I think we're both creative. Christian, I know, posted and said he's most like Klaus because both him and Klaus like to read. So we got to pay attention to character traits and our traits and see what we had in common, which was kind of fun. So we know that something terrible is likely going to happen. Lemony Snicket's told us that a few times. We don't know if it's going to happen in Peru or if it's going to happen at the house, but we know that they're supposed to be leaving for their expedition today, maybe. In the book, it says tomorrow, but Stefano's ticket has been ripped up, so we're not quite sure what will happen next. The children blinked and looked at one another. "Who is it?" Klaus called out, his voice crackly from being silent so long. Instead of an answer, whoever it was simply turned the knob, and the door swung slowly open. So just to remind you, this was nighttime, and the Baudelaires decided, since they weren't going to be able to sleep well anyway, that they might as well just stay up in the same room. So they went into one of the bedrooms together, and while they were in there, they said they heard a pounding at the door, almost like it was being nailed shut. So now they're saying the door swung slowly open. There stood Stefano, surprise, surprise, with his clothes all rumpled and his eyes shining brighter than they ever had been before. "Good morning," he said. "It's time to leave for Peru. There is just room for 3 orphans and myself in the Jeep, so get a move on." "We told you yesterday that you weren't going," Violet said. She hoped her voice sounded braver than she felt. "It is your Uncle Monty who isn't going," Stefano said, and raised the part of his forehead where his eyebrows should have been. "Don't be ridiculous," Klaus said. "Uncle Monty wouldn't miss this expedition for the world." "Ask him," Stefano said, and the Baudelaires saw a familiar expression on his face. His mouth scarcely moved, but his eyes were shining as if he'd just told a joke. "Why don't you ask him? He's down in the reptile room." "We will ask him," Violet said. "Uncle Monty has no intention of letting you take us to Peru alone." She rose from bed, took the hands of her siblings, and walked quickly past Stefano, who was smirking in the doorway. "We will ask him," Violet said again, and Stefano gave a little bow as the children walked out of the room. The hallway was strangely quiet and blank as the eyes of a skull. "Uncle Monty?" Violet called at the end of the hallway. Nobody answered. Aside from a few creaks on the steps, the whole house was eerily quiet, which means kind of creepy. It's so quiet, it's kind of creepy. As if it had been deserted for many years. "Uncle Monty!" Klaus called at the bottom of the stairs. They heard nothing. Standing on tiptoe, Violet opened the enormous door of the reptile room, and for a moment the orphans stared into the room as if hypnotized, entranced by the odd blue light which the sunrise made as it shone through the glass ceiling and walls. In the dim glow, they could see only silhouettes of the various reptiles as they moved around in their cages or slept curled into shapeless, dark masses. Their footsteps echoing off the glimmering walls, the 3 siblings walked through the reptile room toward the far end, where Uncle Monty's library lay waiting for him. Even though the dark room felt mysterious and strange, it was a comforting mystery and a safe strangeness. They remembered Uncle Monty's promise that if they took time to learn the facts, no harm would come to them here in the reptile room. However, you and I remember that Uncle Monty's promise was laden with dramatic irony. And now, here in the early morning gloom of the reptile room, that irony was going to come to fruition, a phrase which here means the Baudelaires were finally to learn of it. For just as they reached the books, the 3 siblings could see a large, shadowy mass huddled in the far corner. Nervously, Klaus switched on one of the reading lamps to get a better look. The shadowy mass was Uncle Monty. His mouth was slightly agape, as if he were surprised, and his eyes were wide open, but he didn't appear to see them. His face, usually so rosy, was very, very pale, and under his left eye were two small holes, right in a line, the sort of mark made by the two fangs of a snake. "Devo sum?" Sonny asked, and tugged at his pant leg. Uncle Monty did not move. As he had promised, no harm had come to the Baudelaire orphans in the reptile room, but great harm had come to Uncle Monty. That's the end of Chapter 6. Chapter 7, it looks like there's a ship. I wonder if that's the Prospero, which is the ship that they were supposed to take off on for Peru. So Chapter 7, we'll start reading on Monday. This is your last video for week 1 of our break from home. I hope you have a great, fun Friday. I challenge you to do something nice for somebody else who's maybe struggling during this time. Send me pictures of your reading forts. Check out New York City, New York, and other states in the Northeast region. Make sure you're washing your hands, staying healthy, being kind to your family, and remembering that you're loved and you're so missed. Have a great weekend and a happy Friday. Bye, guys.